This video contains 0% original content. You already know exactly every single thing I'm going to say, and you've already seen exactly every single thing I'm going to show you. So why haven't you left yet? I mean, if there's nothing new you can possibly get from this, why haven't you just clicked away? It's because you don't believe me, isn't it? You think there's some catch, that I am going to pull some rabbit out of a hat. Well, I'm telling you right now, there is no catch, there is no rabbit, there is just the hat. But fine, you still don't believe me? In the next 15 minutes, I will change your mind. Look at this. It's a peanut. They're pretty common. You've probably heard of them. You've probably even tasted them. But what about the Nature Valley Sweet and Salty Nut Peanut Chewy Granola Bar? Have you tasted these? You should. They're friggin' amazing. I love them. This peanut bar is a low-resolution object. You can see its components. Now suppose it were composed of only and exactly peanuts, sugar, salt, and peanut butter. You've probably had all of those ingredients, so haven't you kind of already also had this in some way? Well, you're probably thinking that's a stupid argument. I mean, obviously a list of ingredients is not the same as a crafted product. But why? I mean, is it because you're eating them at the same time, or because they're touching each other when you're eating them? I mean, what about an even lower resolution object? Imagine a slice of apple with some peanut butter on it. Is that still its own thing? Or what if I eat a spoon of peanut butter and then immediately after have a slice of apple? Is that still its own thing? Or can we just admit that it's the sum of two simpler things? Look at my face. Zoom all the way in, all the way to the level of pixels. This is a pixel. A standard true color 24-bit pixel is made up of 3 8-bit red, green, or blue subcomponents. Each of these subcomponents can be set to any of 256 levels of intensity, resulting in a potential 16,777,216 color combinations per pixel. This means that fundamentally, all you are really seeing right now is a bunch of little red, green, or blue lights. That's it. If I show you one, it's just a pixel. But if I show you a million more, why do you suddenly call it a picture? And at what point does a sequence of pixel values become a story? What are these? Jordans, right? Think again. MKE. Basketball. What about these? These are real Jordans. You can tell by the logo. Which brand do you think came first? MKE or Nike? Is MKE a new original brand of shoes? I mean, technically, yes. I mean, the guy who made this could say, look, it's an original design. There's a nice little spike there. And it's a completely different name, MKE. It doesn't look anything like Nike. There's produced in a different factory. It's a different legal entity. Surely it's its own thing, right? But I mean, okay, let's be real. Obviously it's a copy. It's like 99% copy, 1% original. But even if this is an extreme example, one could argue that all shoes are some type of copy or blend of other pre-existing shoe ideas. So when you release a new shoe, it's much more like a variant based off existing ideas than a new original idea. We like to think we create things from scratch. We say things like, I baked this apple pie completely from scratch. But Carl Sagan famously pointed out the arrogance in this when he said, if you wish to make an apple pie from scratch, you must first invent the universe. Think about it. When you make a pie, you use apples you didn't grow, flour you didn't mill, heat from a stove you didn't engineer, and you're using atoms you most certainly didn't create. Anything we call original is really just an MKE shoe. We're just taking pre-existing templates and scratching our name over it and passing it off as our own. We're not baking from scratch. We're assembling a kit. And this doesn't just apply to physical objects like pies or shoes. Even our thoughts are assembled from a kit. This thick boy is a dictionary. Every story ever told or thought by you or anyone else is contained within this book in just a more compressed form. Now, this book is pretty intimidating, and this particular one is in Greek, so it actually really is. But I could open it to any random page and pick any random word, and I could guarantee beforehand that I would know every letter of that word. I mean, I can check just to be sure. Catastrophe. I know that word. And in fact, I know every letter in that word. Get a load of this genius. He knows the alphabet. Just wait, I'm going somewhere with this. The usage frequency of each letter used to build every word in this book actually fits a highly predictable pattern. In English, just 8 letters, E, T, A, O, I, N, R, and S, account for about 65% of all letter usage in any text. But it isn't just letters. Word frequency is equally predictable. The total number of words in the English language has been estimated at around 1 million words. Now, that might sound like a lot of words if you're trying to learn a new language, but what if I told you you only needed to learn a tiny fraction of that to actually be considered fluent? For example, a 20-year-old American native English speaker only knows around 40,000 words. That's not even 5% of the total words, and that's a native English speaker. Believe it or not, you would only need to know the top 100 most frequently used words to understand about 50% of all spoken or written language. And this applies to all languages, not just English. Doesn't that make learning a language sound a lot more manageable? Okay, but how is this possible? You must be wondering how that math works out. This is because word usage frequency in language follows what's known as Ziff's law, described by George Kingsley Zipf in the 1930s. This law, when applied to language, states that word frequencies can be estimated according to their frequency rank. What that means is that the first most common or frequently used word, the in English, is used twice as often as the second ranked word, 3 times as often as the third ranked word, and so on. The word the by itself accounts for 7% of all word usage. So that means like 7% of this video is probably me just saying the word the. That's not very original, is it? So Ziff's law says that I'm going to use the word the more than any other word. Since you already know I'm going to say it, is that word actually giving you any new information? Well, this guy would say no. But who is Claude Shannon, and why is his opinion relevant? Well, why not ask this guy? It feels appropriate since he wouldn't exist without this guy. Checks notes. Wow, father of information theory. He invented the bit. Invented the concept of informational entropy to measure informational value of a message, which is the founding idea behind data compression and cryptography. Figured out how to consistently correct error over noisy communication channels. Laid groundwork in the field of cryptography during World War II. And made significant pioneer contributions to AI and machine learning. Like, what did this guy not do? The science writer William Poundstone said the following: "There were many at Bell Labs and MIT who compared Shannon's insight to Einstein's. Others found that comparison unfair." Unfair to Shannon. So this dude is clearly an absolute freaking legend, so I think we should hear him out. Claude argued that the information value of a message is proportional to its surprisal value, or how unexpected or surprising that message is. That means if I'm going to say the word the with 100% probability, it's completely probable and expected, and it therefore has 0 information value. It's not unexpected or surprising. It's nothing new for you. If I say A, B, C, D, you know that E is coming next. So E in this context has 0 information value. It's essentially redundant. We don't even need to say it. In this video, I follow the rules of logic, grammar, physics, even the YouTube algorithm. And every time I follow a rule, I'm just fulfilling a probability or an expectation. So that means I might be mathematically incapable of truly surprising you. But even if I were able to create something truly surprising and original, it would lose 100% of its originality the moment it reached your eyes. Your own senses would strip it of its novelty. This is the core of structuralism. The idea that we don't experience a whole, we just process a list of parts. Representing structuralism, we meet Mr. Wilhelm Wundt, the father of experimental psychology, who, fun fact, was the first person to officially call himself a psychologist. He believed that everything in the mind was sourced completely from fundamental elementary sense data. He would make his students perform introspection thousands of times. So he would have them sit down and look at a rock or a metronome for hours and describe every sensation without ever using the name of the object. Structuralism was based on three similar interrelated theories. Atomism, or elementalism, says that all knowledge, even the most complex abstract ideas, are built from simple parts. Sensationalism says that the simplest parts, or atoms, of thought are elementary sense impressions, something like seeing the color blue. And associationism says that complex ideas arise by association of simpler ideas, and those from association of simpler ideas, and so on. Essentially, the structuralist thinks that everything is ultimately formed from basic sense data, and we should thus focus on perceiving and understanding that sense data in order to explain our higher level experience. Question: what is this thing? If you thought mug, you just made a stimulus error. Unfortunately, that doesn't mean the government is giving you a bunch of money, but it means that you confused your actual sense experience from this object with your memory of what this object is supposed to be. See, the structuralist doesn't see a mug. They see a hard, roughly cylindrical, red thing. Mug and peanut bar don't exist to the structuralist. They're just labels or illusions that we make to organize the same old data in new ways. What about this? What is this? Wrong. It's a bunch of brown vertical lines with green blobs on top. I mean, and even those could be broken down further. See, the forest is just a user interface, like the icons on your desktop. You don't see the code, you just see the icon. Structuralism is the attempt to delete the icons and look at the raw binary. Look at your phone right now, but try to see it not as a phone. See the cold glass, the glowing rectangle, you can feel the weight. Phone is a story you try and tell yourself to make sense of the parts. If the structuralists are right, then we're just all playing with the same limited set of sensory Legos. We keep rearranging the same Legos and calling it art or discovery. You think you're seeing a new sunset? No, you're just triggering the same 6 million sensors that you've had since you were born. All you're seeing is different intensities of the same red, green, and blue. Your biology is a closed loop. You are literally incapable of a new sensation. But if you think that's limiting, wait till I show you a place where every single possible arrangement of these blocks already exists. A place that already contains every thought you've ever had, every secret you've ever kept, and the script to this video, word for word. Welcome to the Library of Babel. Conceptualized in 1941 by the Argentine author and librarian Jorge Luis Borges, the Library of Babel is a universe populated by a vast web of adjacent hexagonal library rooms filled with bookshelves. The books in all these bookshelves together contain every possible arrangement of letters for that fixed length book. This means that every single book which has been written or could possibly be written is contained within this library. Every possible human thought, 100% of any message that could ever be created, is located already at a specific permanent address in this library. And it's not just a concept in a book. It was brought to life in the Library of Babel website, published by Jonathan Basile in 2015. He had to use very clever math to solve the obvious storage problems posed by such a massive undertaking. Every single page of every single book can be located at a fixed, real, permanent address. And its text existed in the possibility space of the alphabet before the first human ever learned to speak. And don't just take my word for it, try it for yourself. Come up with the most creative, random, original thought you can possibly come up with, and search for it in the library. You will find it's already there on a specific page, in a specific book, on a specific shelf, on a specific wall, in a specific room in the library. It has always existed, and I could go to the exact same place and find it. You didn't just create that thought. You couldn't have. It was there long before you or your parents or their parents were even born. You just discovered it. Well, if the library truly contains everything, then it must contain the cure for cancer, instructions for cold fusion, and the date of the heat death of the universe. And it does, and that's cool, but the problem is that for every truth in the library, there is also every possible lie about every possible truth. So it says that the heat death of the universe happened in 1953 and 1954 and 2001, the year I was born. And you can cure cancer with lemon juice, and you can achieve cold fusion by wishing on a star. See, because 100% of all possible information is there already with 100% probability, its information value or its surprisal value is 0. It's useless information. The signal is drowned out in the noise. You might be tempted to think that this is just a digital quirk, some weird trick on a website or a thought experiment about books. But it's not. It's actually a real property of reality. See, information isn't just some abstract concept. It has real physical requirements. It necessarily takes up space. Just like you can only fit so many books on a shelf before the shelf breaks, there is a hard limit to how much information fits in the universe. In physics, this is called the Bekenstein Bound. It states that any region of space, whether it's this room or the gray matter inside your skull, can hold only a finite amount of information. There are only so many ways to arrange the atoms in your head before you run out of unique combinations. That means there is a concrete mathematical ceiling on the number of thoughts a human brain is physically capable of having. You aren't just trapped by the alphabet, you're trapped by the laws of thermodynamics. You are a finite machine in a finite box, thoroughly incapable of any true originality. And so am I. Well, we're back where we started. I told you at the beginning that this video would contain absolutely no original content. And if you're looking at the parts, the letters, the pixels, the peanuts, the atoms in the peanuts, even the ideas stored away in some hexagonal library, I wasn't wrong. I certainly didn't create any possibilities. I didn't design any new letters or invent any new colors. Structurally, there is nothing new here. I just moved your furniture around a little bit so that the room of your brain would look a bit different for like 15 minutes. But if you find this perspective rather unsatisfying, I don't blame you, and I have good news for you. There is an alternative approach to perception which embraces the whole peanut bar, mug, and forest as real things, fundamentally different from just a clump of parts. But the Gestalt approach will have to wait for the next video, in which I'm going to prove that that video is 100% original. You are cordially invited to subscribe if you would like to keep learning completely original things with me. And thanks for watching. That's good. That's a wrap. That's a wrap. Woo!